Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for your Friday foundation fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today I'm going to check out from Wander Beauty the Nude Illusion Liquid Foundation. This retails for $40. You get 1.01 fluid ounces of product. It comes in 12 different shades. It is cruelty-free, and I do not see fragrance in the ingredients. So I am on Sephora's website right now. This is currently getting 4 out of 5 stars with 77 reviews. It's described as a weightless fluid foundation formulated for full coverage and a natural radiant finish, meant for normal, dry, and combo skin types. They do not mention oily, so I have dry skin. That's why I gravitated here. The description says it is a lightweight, skincare-enriched liquid foundation with full coverage and a natural radiant finish. Nude Illusion gives skin a filtered look with all-day coverage without ever feeling heavy. It resists heat, humidity, and sweat, and as little as one layer magically makes blemishes, redness, and discoloration disappear with an undetectable skin-like finish. The formula is enriched with niacinamide to reduce the appearance of wrinkles and even skin tone. It also contains lotus extract to help balance sebum production and promote natural skin elasticity. It has no parabens, no sulfates, no phthalates, no mineral oil, and no synthetic fragrance. Those are all the claims. Sounds like it would be something I like, except for the fact that it only comes in 12 shades. I got the second lightest shade, Fair Light. I used the shade finder on Sephora's website, and I put in every single foundation that is a guaranteed match for me. So basically I will put in Estee Lauder 1C1 Cool Bone, the Double Wear Stay in Place. I will put in MAC, and I will put in NW10, NW13, and NW15. This doesn't match anything. So either this foundation is not in the shade finder, which would be nice if they would give an error message instead of no results, or it doesn't match anything that I currently wear. So we'll find out now, won't we? All the shades in these 12 are skewed from fair to barely medium. They really don't go into the deep end of the spectrum at all. So I would love to see more shades if they are targeting inclusivity as one of their goals, which is a good goal to have. IMO. Let's take a look at the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion swatched against a few others in my collection in case you own one of the others and are able to then judge what shade you should get in this one. Swatch time. First up is today's foundation, the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion in shade Fair Light. Second is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Third up, I've got the MAC Studio Sculpt in shade NW15. Fourth is the Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet in shade 22 Beige Rosé. And last, I've got the Smashbox Studio Skin Hydrating Foundation in shade 1.0. These all look pretty similar, and, with just slight differences in undertone. You'll find in the video, I filmed the swatches after I film the makeup application, so in the video I talk about not liking the shade of this. Ironically, it looks very similar on my arm to shades that I like, but I think it's slightly more yellow undertone, and maybe that's what I'm not liking about it, but hang in there, we'll see. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my 44-year-old face. I've got some sun damage I like to cover up, some deeper smile lines, forehead lines, texture between the eyebrows. My large pores come out screaming when they're in the mood, and I have already primed with the Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer. The texture of this reminds me a whole lot of the Tatcha Silk Canvas once you start to spread it out, but I think this one is slightly more inclined to pill up, at least on me. I didn't have any pilling today, so we are going to go ahead and keep on rolling with this one. I will go in on one side of my face with a sponge. This is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. Other side, I've got my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. We will see if one way or the other has a better result. This has a doe foot, so that I can't get out of the packaging. Ooh, there we go. That seems like trouble waiting to happen. Giant old doe foot, so, oh, and see, I got it all over my desk. That's great. I'm not going to put this on a palette. I'll just put this straight onto my face, and we'll see how this goes, shall we? This might be my summer shade. Looks a little darker than it looked online. You can never tell online though. Oh wow, is that oxidation already happening? Holy tamale. This might be, let's just pounce. Oh, this is kind of orange. Yeah, there's an orange undertone to this. I would say this is straight up light. This is not fair light at all, especially based on the skew of orangeness. Pretty light coverage with the sponge and one pass. I see some redness being reduced, but I would not call this full coverage at one pass. Let's see how it does with the brush. I do like the finish better with the brush. I think it looks more smooth. It's doing a lot more to smooth over pores and texture. This shade is definitely too dark for me. I'm going to have to take it down my neck to not look Oompa Loompa like. I would like to even out to the other side. Let's just go for where I need a little bit more coverage and see how we do. And I'm going to put some down the neck. While I can say I do not like this shade at all on me, it is looking very smoothing to the skin, and I really like the finish. It's not too overdone, it's not too dewy, but it's very skin-like. The one problem I can see this having is it looks like it's very close to wanting to settle into my pores. It doesn't really seem like it's settling in just yet, but it looks like it's almost there. It's accentuating the wrinkles around my mouth just a little bit, but it is not clinging to dry patches. And, well, let's just zoom in. I think the coverage is medium. I still see redness coming through on my chin. Around my mouth, it does look just a little bit, I just look a little more wrinkly than I like to look. My nose is where I see it potentially wanting to settle into my pores. I can still see some freckles coming through on my cheeks, which is why I would not say we're at full coverage just yet. I think this is an issue with the shade match, but I can kind of see areas where the product is sitting on top of the skin, like on my temples, but that could just be I'm not fully blending it out. Let's see if I can fix that. It's clinging a little bit to the texture between my eyebrows. My forehead doesn't look as smooth as it usually does with foundation. My cheeks look better than my forehead, I think, in terms of the smoothing, but it is doing, I'd say, a little bit of smoothing of texture, a little bit of smoothing of pores, with the exception of the areas where it looks like it might want to sink in. I don't put primer on my nose, so that could be one of the reasons. Generally, primer on my nose makes foundation not stick on my nose, which I know it's counterintuitive, but that is how my nose happens to work. I also don't put skincare on my nose anymore because my nose just doesn't cooperate with makeup if it has anything on it. So that is where we are starting out here. Let's do a time check. It is 2:37 p.m. I'm going to go put the rest of my makeup on. I will be right back. I'm back. So far, so good. I had no trouble blending anything out with this foundation. I wore my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away concealer. No trouble blending there. I did not have to set this with powder. It seemed to set down pretty well on its own. I did not have trouble blending powder on top of it. So far so good in that regard. I did have some settling of product into my deeper chin lines. I tapped that out. We will see if it remains gone. No real settling into my smile lines or forehead lines yet. Everything, really except for the color, is seeming pretty nice. I still have a little bit where I feel like it's a little cakey on my temples, but that could just be a thing because I don't think it's really cakey anyplace else. So that is where we are starting out. On my eyes today, I've got the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. Does it seem like I am doing anything in my power to be able to wear Death Valley on my lips? because that's what's happening. My highlight, Natasha Denona Super Glow. My bronzer is the Balm Desert. My blush is e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Rosy. And I actually am trying out the Wander Beauty Unlashed mascara for the first time. I think it's for the first time. I don't remember trying it before. I think I got this in a BoxyCharm or something like that. I would say it's really nice. It's the kind of brush that I like. You know, it's got lots and lots of bristles. I just wish it gave a little bit more volume. I love the length and the separation that it gives. I do wish I had a little bit more volume going on, especially at the root of the lash there. I am wearing the CoverGirl Get In Line Active Liquid Liner today. So that is what is going on elsewhere. I will be back in a bit with a daylight check-in, then I'll come back at the end of the night, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, we are about 4 hours in, and this is getting kind of shiny, you guys. It's also getting kind of heavy on my chin, breaking down a little bit. It is like 79 degrees outside, so it's not super hot. I'm not sweating, so I'm not really liking how heavy this looks. Not the biggest fan at the moment, but I'll keep wearing it. I will be back at the end of the night, give you guys my final thoughts. 1:05 a.m. That puts us at about 10.5 hours. Let's take a look at how the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion foundation held up. Generally speaking, I would say I've seen better, but I've seen a whole lot worse at the 10+ hour mark. The foundation isn't exceptionally comfortable. It feels a little bit heavy. It looks a little bit heavy. At this point in the night, I feel just a little bit shiny. But I met up with some friends at about the 4 to 5 hour mark, and across the board, everyone thought it looked very nice. So that is coming from a conversational distance. At halfway through the night, let's take a look close up and see what's going on. The product settled really badly into my deeper chin lines, and so I wiped it off because I had noticed that when I went to the bathroom while I was out this evening. But I did not wipe my chin, and a lot of product is missing, worn off of my chin. Around my mouth, it is just sort of bunching up and doing that kind of cakey / gunky thing. It's settling into the pores around my cheeks a little bit, settling a little bit into the pores on my nose. It's kind of like the pores that I thought it might settle in, it did settle in. I do feel like I'm missing some product on my nose. Blush, bronzer, highlight seem pretty well intact, although it did cake up quite a bit on the texture in between my eyebrows. Forehead looks okay. My temples have product caking up for sure, but overall, I don't think it looks great at this point in the evening. I have seen worse, so it's not the worst of the worst by any stretch. It's just kind of, it's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. I'd say the wear is average. It was a warm day, but I didn't do anything strenuous that had me sweating or anything like that. So, if I had to give a grade to the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion, I am going to go... I'm going to go B-, and that might be a smidge generous considering the poor shade range of this foundation. I don't think it is like drying. I think it is a nice, I don't feel dry at all, although it did settle into my smile lines, which is kind of a bummer, but I don't feel like my skin is dried out. So if you have dry skin, I think this works pretty well. If you have oily skin, remember they didn't have oily skin listed on the recommendations, and I don't think this would work because I think it did get a little bit sort of shiny / I don't want to go greasy, but because I don't really produce oil on my face, but no, it doesn't feel greasy. It just looks a little bit more shiny than I would like. I would say in terms of wrinkles, if you have deeper lines, it may settle into them. It settled into my chin lines. It didn't settle into my smile lines or my forehead lines, but it did settle into my crow's feet, which rarely happens to me. So I would say iffy in terms of wrinkles, but I'm gonna go B- because I really do like the smoothing effect that it had. I will play around with it with different primers and see if a pore filling primer rather than a smoothing primer would do better with this foundation. I will keep you guys updated in a future foundation follow-up if I find anything to work differently with different combinations. I think it's worth a shot. If you can get yourself a sample of this, go ahead, try it out. I think it's nice for dry skin. I'm going to experiment with it some more, and we will see. I will probably wait until I've got some self-tanner on so that it matches me a little bit better, but really I think it's the yellow undertone that looks different if you compare my chest to, like, say, my forehead. I think it's a smidge too dark and it's a little bit too yellow for me. There is one shade lighter than this, so that is a possibility if you are more fair than I am. So there you go. We're going to go B- with the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion. If you enjoy foundation reviews and you liked this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.